Two brothers, one forest. The hunting trip that ended in mystery on the morning of November 14th, 2019. Two brothers from the rural community of Heatheridge set out into the Blackwood Forest, a sprawling expanse of ancient pines and rolling terrain that had been their family's hunting ground for 3 generations. What should have been a routine excursion into the woods would become a case that would confound investigators for years, leaving behind more questions than answers and a family forever fractured by uncertainty. The brothers were 34-year-old Daniel Morrow and his younger sibling, 29-year-old James Morrow. Daniel was the elder, a carpenter by trade, known in Heatheridge as a man of few words but deep loyalty. James had recently returned to the area after several years working in the city, his arrival back home coinciding with the breakdown of his marriage. Local residents who saw them that morning described the pair as appearing in good spirits, though some noted a tension between them that seemed to linger beneath the surface of their interactions. The brothers were last seen at approximately 7:45 in the morning, loading equipment into Daniel's weathered Land Rover at the Trailhead Car Park. A fisherman passing through the area reported witnessing the brothers' vehicle parked at the southern access point at roughly 9:15 that evening. But beyond this, no confirmed sightings of either man would emerge. When the brothers failed to return by the following evening, their mother, Patricia Morrow, contacted the constabulary. A search operation was launched at first light on November 16th, involving volunteer mountain rescue teams, police dogs, and later, a police helicopter. The search would cover hundreds of acres of dense woodland, pushing deep into areas rarely traversed even by experienced locals. It was on the second day of the search, at approximately 2 in the afternoon, that searchers discovered the first item of interest. A red canvas hunting blind, abandoned and partially concealed beneath a stand of young spruce trees. Lying beside it, partially covered by fallen leaves, was a single 12-gauge shotgun shell, its brass casing dulled by exposure to the elements. The discovery prompted an expansion of the search parameters, and within hours, investigators from the Major Crime Unit arrived to take over the investigation. The scene that emerged over the following days would paint an incomplete and troubling picture. Daniel Morrow was located first, found just over 200 meters from the abandoned hunting blind, positioned against the base of a large oak tree. His condition was such that emergency services were able to confirm his death at the scene. His body showed no signs of external trauma according to the post-mortem examination, and the subsequent toxicology report would reveal no elevated levels of alcohol or common narcotics. The medical examiner would ultimately determine that Daniel Morrow had died of cardiac arrest, though what had triggered that arrest remained unknown. James Morrow was found 4 days later, on November 20th, at the bottom of a steep ravine approximately 3/4 of a mile from his brother's final position. His injuries were consistent with a fall, though the nature and angle of his wounds raised questions for investigators. Like his brother, James showed no signs of having been attacked or physically assaulted by another person. The post-mortem confirmed death by blunt force trauma consistent with a fall, but again, the circumstances that had led him to that ravine remained unexplained. The absence of clear answers in both deaths quickly became the defining characteristic of the case. Detective Inspector Sarah Callahan, who led the investigation, addressed the media in a carefully worded statement 3 weeks after the brothers were found. She confirmed that the investigation was treating the deaths as unexplained rather than suspicious, though she acknowledged that detectives remained open to all possibilities. When pressed by journalists about the relationship between the two brothers and whether there had been any indication of conflict, Inspector Callahan declined to comment, stating only that family dynamics were part of the ongoing review. Those who knew the Morrow brothers offered fragmentary and sometimes contradictory accounts. A neighbor described the pair as close, noting that Daniel had been protective of his younger brother since childhood. However, a former school teacher recalled incidents of friction between them, suggesting a more complex bond that had weathered its share of strain. James's ex-wife, reached for comment through her solicitor, declined to speak publicly about the marriage or its breakdown. The physical evidence collected from the scene told a limited story. The brothers' campsite showed signs of a hasty departure, with equipment left scattered and a cooling ring from a portable stove still warm when discovered by searchers. 2 sets of footprints, matching the brothers' boots, were tracked leading away from the campsite in different directions before disappearing into terrain where leaf cover made further tracking impossible. No third set of footprints was ever identified. No evidence of a struggle was documented at either location where the brothers were found. In the months following the investigation, a number of theories circulated within Heatheridge and beyond. Some residents speculated that the brothers had encountered a wild animal, perhaps a boar, and had become separated in their attempt to escape. Others suggested that some form of confrontation between the brothers themselves might have led to their separate fates, though this theory was never substantiated and no motive was ever established. A more outlandish hypothesis, based on the remote nature of the forest and the absence of witnesses, held that some form of natural phenomenon, perhaps a sudden and localized atmospheric disturbance, might have contributed to the events of that day, though no scientific evidence was ever advanced to support such a claim. The case remains officially unsolved, classified in police records as an unsolved death investigation. The file remains open, according to a spokesperson for the constabulary, though no new lines of inquiry have been pursued in recent years. The Morrow family has declined to speak publicly about the losses, their grief compounded by the absence of explanation. On quiet mornings in Heatheridge, when mist lingers low among the trees at the edge of the Pinewood Forest, some residents still pause to consider the brothers who walked into those woods on a November morning and never walked out together. What transpired between those trees may never be fully known. What remains is the shape of an absence, a question that hangs over the forest like the morning fog, refusing to lift. The Blackwood keeps its secrets, and 2 brothers, bound by blood and a final shared journey into the trees, remain among its mysteries.